Matric pupils prepared to write their English exams tomorrow. But enough about the organising side of things. Let's talk to the people who really matter, the students. It marks the first finals to be written since lockdown was lifted. Our reporter Heidi Giokos is following all of these developments, and she's at a school in Mamelodi now. Heidi, what are you hearing from students there as they prepare for such a big moment in their schooling life?
Yes, I think it's truly a defining moment in one's life when you're about to start your matric exams. I won't say how long ago I wrote my matric exams, but I remember the anxiety that came with writing exams. And it's a very different time for learners this time around, because they had to deal with the COVID-19 pandemic, but also they have to deal with consistent rolling blackouts. So there are a number of challenges that learners have to face on a daily basis and needing to factor in when preparing for matric exams. We know the first paper will be English tomorrow. That's the first actual exam, matric final paper that will be written. We know that computer application technology and information technology practicals were written last week. But we are joined by two learners from the Mopius High School here in Mamelodi, Kensani Baloy as well as Precious Banda. Thank you so much both for your time. We do appreciate it. Don't be nervous. Keep the nerves for tomorrow. Let me start with you, Kensani. I'm wondering how you have prepared for your exams. You were telling me off camera that you want to study medicine, so you definitely have a lot of preparing to do. How do you feel? Have you prepared? Are you ready for your exams tomorrow?
I feel like for me it's 50-50, because the studying part is actually not a problem. I can study. We have many resources. We have teachers. We have the internet. We have past papers. We have everything that we need. But the problem is that this is our first serious exam. So sitting for the table is nerve-wracking. So I don't know, but then I'm kind of confident about it, but not confident, because this is the first time we are sitting for a very serious exam since the COVID. I think that COVID has impacted us a lot because we haven't experienced an exam. So no, the pressure's not there, but then it is there.
You'll be fine. Okay, let me speak to Precious. Same question to you. How have you prepared for your exams, and do you think you're ready come tomorrow?
I think that the stress levels of the exam aren't that deep, because as long as you have prepared during the year, I think you will be less stressed about it. But if you haven't prepared that much, you will be stressed about it. And the support system that we get from the school, our families, our peers, it is what keeps us going and reduces the stress levels that we are actually feeling right now. And we are actually ready. We're just hopeful that distinctions are actually going to come out. That is the only thing that we're praying for. We know that we're going to pass. The only problem, it is the distinction part. Yes.
I wish that was my struggle when I was in matric, but let's not talk about that. Okay, let's move over to something that's rather serious. Kensani, I'll start with you again. Load shedding is a massive problem. The month of September is probably the worst load shedding month that we've ever had. And I want to know if this is a concern for you. Has it impacted you preparing for your exams? Has it impacted you, your classing, when you have classes? How much of the load shedding has impacted you preparing for your final matric exams?
In terms of the classes, I don't think that we have been really affected, because we have a generator, so we are not affected. But then at home, I think that is the problem, because some matriculants like me, we come from really big families, so the time that we actually study is the time when our family is settled, which is at night. So at night is the best time to study for us. It's the best time. So I think it has impacted us a lot, because some of us are forced to sleep early because we have to switch off the candles. Our parents are fearful because of the dangers behind what has happened. Yeah, the accidents because of the candles and so on. So we are forced to sleep early. We have limited time to study. It's a stress, actually. It's a really big problem, and I wish that it could be fixed. And I wish that the parliament or something could take matriculants into consideration before switching off the lights. Wow. This is our future.
Power, sure. Power, and we don't have power. Precious, tell me whether or not you feel as though load shedding has limited you in terms of studying even harder for your exams, and how the constant rolling blackouts has impacted you.
Yeah, load shedding, it is a problem because studying with a candle, it is a huge disturbance because, you know, the light that it actually emits, it is less, and usually we teenagers are actually a technologically advanced generation. We use tablets, we use phones, we use laptops, and when there's a blackout, how do you expect us to study? Because most of our past papers are on our phones, and most of our resources are on our phones and our laptops. And when the electricity goes off and you know that your phone is not charged, knowing that I'm writing tomorrow, I'm going to write an exam, it is so stressful. And you know that something can be fixed and the government can do something about it, but because you are just a young child and you cannot do anything, you're just gonna face the consequences, and you just gotta push and just wait for the electricity to come back, and which is so stressful, and it is such a disturbance to our studies. And at the end, when we fail, they're just going to be surprised and they won't understand that the electricity problem, it is actually contributing to how we are ineffectively studying. Yeah.
Okay, great. Thank you both so much for your time. You both are so smart, and I wish you all the best for your studies ahead, and I'm sure you'll do just fine. I just want to add that Kensani wants to be a doctor, and Precious wants to be an actual scientist, Marcel. So I do think that great futures ahead, and I think the messages of load shedding truly should get to top government for them to realize how this is impacting young learners who want to have a better future and want to study really hard, but are limited because of the rolling and consistent blackouts. And I just want to add that the Minister of Basic Education, Angie Motshekga, actually said to us when we asked her the question about whether or not schools can be exempt from load shedding, the fact that they've engaged with Eskom and this cannot happen. It's just going to cause a further disturbance to the national grid and the national picture of load shedding, and they just have to work around the load shedding schedule. So that's the message from the minister, and you have learners saying it's a huge disturbance, we can't study like we want to, and they want government to do something about this.
Goodness me, Heidi, thank you so much for that. And I dare say that those two young ladies were far more prepared and smarter and more confident than I ever remember being at that age. And indeed, look out for those names, Precious Banda and Kensani Beloy. Their futures indeed do look bright. Send them to Parliament now already. I say they could run the country far better than many people are there, some people might say.